Hello. Hi. Hello. I was talking about the world and the realm of imagination and its connection to the spirit realm. So what is imagination? What is imagination and thinking, right? Imagination could be seen as like everything to human consciousness. What is imagination? Imagination is a world of like what you can think of. It's like a realm of its own that you can access, and it creates what life is, right? It creates who you are. It creates whatever in its projection onto reality. So art could be seen as like a gateway to it, right? So I was thinking about imagination on its own is in its connection to the spiritual realm, right? Because yeah. So every time you make an imagination, you think of something, you experience something in the imagination only. Are you really having out of body experiences, right? It can't be as easy as saying that you think of something. It's simply just thinking and that's it, or whatever, however deeply. But if you really think about what a thought is and what it leads to, is the world of imagination, right? So where do thoughts stem from? So thinking in imagination, so thoughts stem from experiencing life, right? In this physical body, in physical life, right? And in physical life, your brain downloads and experiences a memory. Whatever you're doing in the now, your brain picks up on, and it subconsciously stores that as a memory, right? And therefore being able to access this memory as a thought, right? So, for example, somebody or something can't exist unless it's stored in your memory. So let's say you see somebody or something, right? And you let's say you see somebody or something, right? And you think of it, right? You store it in your memory. You have a memory of it, right? So it can't exist in your memory. It can't exist as a thought to be used unless it exists, right? So how to access a thought, right? A thought is a memory, right? Because you can't think of something before it exists in your memory. So if you think of a spiritual realm of its own, it can be imagination. It can be as simple as saying that you think of something and that's it. However deeply you sit there and however deeply you want to get into it. But I believe that imagination is a world of I believe that a spiritual realm of its own could be seen as imagination, right? And what exactly is imagination? And every little product of what you think, and every little thing that that exists in your imagination, in your memory, it stems from your physical life, right? Therefore, your memories are what is imagination, right? Imagination is accessing your physical body and what is experienced, and if somebody's claiming that all there is to life is you're just a physical body holding a consciousness, right? All there is a human consciousness placed in a physical body, and in the human consciousness your memories are stored, right, for you to use, and you sit there and you think of something. That's exactly what creates like a soul, right? So what is a soul, right? What is life without consciousness? So you sit there for a moment and you think to yourself that all you are is a physical body, right? And in the physical body you're just a live consciousness, right? And that's it. you're placed in an animal, right? Humans are animals, and holding a consciousness, right, and being able to think. But every time you think, and your connection to it, to another spirit realm, questions that. So thinking and memories, imagination is only a product of the physical life, right? Because like you can't suddenly create something in your mind and think of it unless it exists in your memory, right? In your subconscious. So whatever exists in your subconscious is only what you can think of, right? You can't suddenly think of somebody or something before you've seen them in real life and have used it in any way as a memory, right? Well, whenever you enter the realm of imagination, right, and how it's non-physical, but yeah, imagination is non-physical, right? And it's seen as like, it can be seen as like spiritual, whatever you connect to it. So what happens to somebody, for example, when people have psychedelic trips? For example, when people have psychedelic trips and they claim that they've had a spiritual experience, they claim that this happened or whatever, and this and that, they they tripped onto another dimension, right? So what are psychedelic trips could be seen as like due to if I sit there and say I'm going to take a plant, right, and the plant is from life, from the nature of life. In nature, there's stuff to get high off of, or whatever, however you access the chemical, however you, I go somewhere and I say I'm going to take shrooms, and for some reason I dry, and I somehow get a hold of shrooms in nature, right, and I take the shroom trip. I have a trip, right, and I deem it as a spiritual experience, right. Psychedelic trips can connect to human soul and whatever, or its connection to it. So let's say I have a trip, right, on a psychedelic drug. So what a trip is could be seen as like a subconscious projection of your imagination, because like you can't suddenly say that you tripped onto another dimension without whatever you tripped. It's like you trip to a multiverse, right? You have a trip into a parallel universe. The parallel universe is it can exist. So let's say there's a parallel universe, right? Whatever exists in it can only exist because yeah. So what is existence? Is existence eternal? When you sit there in life, you say that all there is to life is just like human consciousness and connection to whatever exists, right? And in it. So let's say I have a trip, and the trip is opening a portal way to what subconsciously exists in your world of imagination, in this world of spirit, right? And every time you trip, you access your subconsciousness. And every time you trip, you open a portal way or a gateway to what your human consciousness is connected to, your memories, right, in the world of it. So, for example, you can't think of somebody or something before you've seen them in real life. So I can't suddenly think of this tree that I'm looking at right before seeing it and storing it as a memory for me to use. And what happens to the memory when I open a portal way to that memory of like the tree that I'm staring at, right? I close my eyes later on in life. I think of exactly what I was doing, and I open the portal way to a memory, a dream, a trip. So in the trip, I say I go somewhere, right? I go to this memory in the trip, and then this memory is this warped version of like whatever I was doing, this trippy version, and whatever you experience can only exist because it's a product of the memory, right? It's going beyond the physical, right? So, is imagination a spiritual realm of its own, right? I think it is, and I think it could be said as simply as being just like it's just thinking and that's it, right? But deeply, what creates a human soul is your imagination, right? Because all you are apparently is a physical body holding a human consciousness, and your human consciousness can open a portal way or whatever. Let's say you have a trip, right? And you trip where? And you trip how? What do you see in the trip? What exactly do you experience in the trip? I've had psychedelic trips before, but nothing too serious. But I've had many of them in the past when I was sort of like a young kid, maybe, and yeah. But I remember, what are psychedelic trips? I don't know anything about them, but I've had them in the past, maybe. And yeah. So, is imagination a realm, a spiritual realm of its own to be explored and to be used, to be a projected, however imagination projects itself onto reality, right? It can be seen as art. Art is entering the world of imagination, projecting it onto reality, right? If you sit there and you draw something, then where does this drawing come from? Is your memory, right? Because, and in that memory, you're accessing a world of spirit. You're accessing a parallel universe. You're accessing a multiverse where everything that exists in this universe. Right. So let's say you draw something, right? You draw like a plant or whatever. You draw a place. You draw alien or whatever. So is life simply just the physical experience, right? Life is a physical experience only to be deemed, and a lot of people don't believe that life is beyond it. So is imagination beyond the physical? I believe that, like, it is clearly, but imagination can be used to access like a realm of spirit, a world of whatever, the infinite possibilities of whatever you think of, right? And it's projection onto reality, right? So if I sit there and I draw something, then I say that how does this drawing exist, right, in real life? Is that you projected it into your realm of thought, right? And in the realm of thought is your subconsciousness, right? So I can't sit there and I suddenly draw something that doesn't exist in your subconscious. Therefore, you access your subconsciousness. Are psychedelic trips subconsciously based? Like, you can only trip of something that exists in your subconscious, right? In the same idea in physical life, if you just read directly to the physical plane, you can't think of somebody or something before you've seen them, and you store it as a memory, right? And that memory is your subconscious vault to whatever you think of in the world of imagination, right? So what is imagination? And to simply say that you just think of something and that's it, clearly, but you can take it beyond and its projection onto reality. You can use that as art and stuff, right? So I believe imagination is a spiritual realm on its own.